What's up, everybody? It's Greg Burge with Delta Financial, and this is the Be the Difference podcast. This podcast is all about making you a better person, better in your life, better in your business. We talk about entrepreneurship. We talk about sales, leadership, marketing. We talk about strategies that you can apply to your life and your business in order to level up your game. With me today, I've got the one, the only Mr. Zach Allen.
Oh, we got the
How you doing, buddy?
Doing good, brother. How are you?
Doing well. So, Zach and I, just to give some preface, as you probably saw with the link, this podcast today is going to be one of the leadership podcasts where we come on and we talk to you about leadership tactics. I talked to the different agency owners, and they share experiences, they share concepts, strategies that they are applying to their agencies and how it's going for them and what's working, what's not, in order to hopefully help give you something that you can apply to your business and life. So, Zach and I have been working together for 2 years now. It's been 2 years since we've known each other, brother.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Time flies, bro.
It does, man. It does. And it's been a wild ride.
Yeah.
So, in that time frame, we've had massive amounts of changes, right? We've had high highs and low lows. We've just about seen everything that the industry has to offer in multiple different companies.
Lots of lessons
that we can learn. And so today, why don't you kind of introduce a little bit about yourself and talk about your team and what topic you want to go over today?
Yeah. Like Greg said, my name's Zach Allen. I've been in the industry with Greg for several years now, mentored under him the entire time. Got my feet wet learning virtual sales, mortgage protection, had a lot of success there, and then, transitioned to agency owner. It's been a roller coaster. But, today we wanted to discuss a little bit about the difference between compliance and commitment and how that applies to a 1099 agent and the differences there. So,
and a 1099 agency, right?
Yeah, that's agency, right? Because you can't, as far as compliance goes, they are their own boss per se, right? So you can't just be like, hey, go do this and expect results. That doesn't work. You have to
you're breaking out some topics that are a little bit more higher level when it comes to leadership. This is something that you and I have talked about. We've taught each other. But when you talk about compliance commitment, talk about the different types of leadership a little bit, just to give some context so that they know exactly what you mean.
Client's commitment or agents?
Compliance. Can we talk about the topics of compliance versus commitment and how that applies to leadership styles?
Right. So the entire object as an agency owner or upline is try and get your agents to act, right? To get them to make sales. If you come from a W-2 background, that's more of a compliance thing. Basically, your job is on the line if you don't do this, right? It's, a hammer versus nail type deal. Whereas commitment is you've got to inspire them to act, right? There's not much you can do to get them to do it. There's no punishments involved, right? You have to inspire them to move on their own accord. Is that about what you're looking for? You want to go a little bit deeper?
Yeah. So when you look at the different leadership styles, okay, there's six basic leadership styles. Okay. 4 of them are all commitment based. Okay. So that means that people are following them because they want to follow them, not because they have to follow them. It's the difference between positional power and personal power. So personal power is all about, for instance, when I decided to leave and make Delta Financial, I went to Zach and said, hey, brother, this is what I believe in. This is what I want to build. You know me. If you want to come build this with me, I would love to have you. If you don't, I completely understand, and I wish you the best of luck.
Yep.
That he decided to come based off of personal power. He was not forced. He committed to it instead of me telling him, you have to come, right? I did the same thing when I left. When I first left a year ago, year and a half ago now, that original company where Zach and I first were together, I had a team of that Zoom, you remember that Zoom? It was like 100 agents there.
Yeah.
And I told them, I was like, hey guys, this is what I'm doing. This is what I found. This is all the research I've done. You guys know me. This is what I'm doing. And if you want to come with me, awesome. I'm going to work my ass off to make sure that this works. If you don't want to come with me, I completely understand. No harm, no foul, no hard feelings. I wish you the best of luck.
Yep.
Go crush it. Right. That was because I did not want to force anything, and I couldn't. Obviously, I wasn't. You just can't with the 1099 model. But there was no judgments. There was no hard feelings, and it was the people that wanted to go. They committed. The people that didn't, they committed to the other cost, and there's nothing wrong with that. And so, the problem I think is that you have agency owners that try to use compliance from positional, they feel as positional authority. They do not have positional authority. So they're trying to use positional authority leadership styles when they're in a personal power position.
Right.
So,
and I mean, there's a gray area. Sometimes you have to use it, but over the majority of the time, you're going to walk in that commitment area, and that's how you're really going to build something successful, is when everybody behind you is committed to the vision and the culture and the core values. Those are the real ones, especially, coming on now and being with Delta, where we can actually enforce this, and getting rid of the fat that didn't believe in it. You really start to see the power of it. The people that are behind you and everybody pulling in the same direction. It's a very powerful thing. Whereas before, we couldn't force it. Everybody was doing their own thing. It didn't work out. But now that we're all pulling in the same direction, it's a very, very powerful thing.
It's a vastly different conversation.
It is. Absolutely. It's
so give an example. Give an example of what you've seen before in the past, what you've actually experienced in terms of, let's say, compliance, something that a lot of agents could relate with.
Compliance is, hey, go buy more leads, get on the phones, book your appointments, do it. Don't call me. Don't do anything. Don't call me until you have all of your appointments. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have agents that are just standing there like deer in the headlights because they don't understand why. Right.
Yeah.
But the difference is when you have conversations with agents and you figure out what's holding them back, that's when it becomes powerful, because then you can talk them through it and actually guide them.
Mm-hmm.
If their fear is, they don't know how to overcome the objections, or they want you there to guide them, that's fine. That's what a mentor does. You jump on, you coach them through it, and you get them rolling, right? Versus just go buy these leads, buy more leads. That doesn't work. You have to get their commitment, and you have to understand where they're coming from to get these people to move. So
give an example of how you would change that conversation to get a commitment. And what you've implemented.
Right.
And that's how success. Like, give me like a realistic conversation. Hey, this is what I actually do when I have this scenario. Hey, an agent wants to know what they need help with, because let's say, here's the scenario. They came in, they're brand new. They bought a set of leads. They didn't have any success.
Right.
And they're calling and being like, what do I do?
Right.
Now it's on you. What do you do? How do you talk to them?
You have a conversation with them. First of all, I want to know how well they know their phone script. Let's role play a little bit. And, if they don't know their phone script right off the bat, well, there's your problem. You need to master your phone script. And by doing so, you're going to have them do recordings and send them to you. Just like you say, the first recording, and then do it again in 50 practices and send it back. So they need to be really good at that, right? If they're encountering other things on the phones, we need to address those too. Are you getting hammered with certain objections? Take notes. Send me recordings of your calls so that we can see exactly where you're tripping up at. I encourage all of my agents to actually send me recordings if I'm not there with them. That allows me to diagnose exactly what's going on within their calls. A lot of the times, though, you find out that they're not actually making the dials. They're not tracking their dials. They'll tell you, hey, I made maybe, 50 calls. Well, was it maybe, or did you actually do it? How many did you do? So it's getting them to understand the importance of tracking their metrics too. Because, hey, if you dialed 50 but only 5 answered, all right, well then there's other issues. We need to know your exact metrics so that we can identify. Now, if you talk to 25 people and you didn't book appointments, okay, let's look at your phone script. So it's really having a conversation with them and digging in and diagnosing the problem, and giving them the time to correct it, or your time to show them how to correct it.
Yeah, absolutely. So basically what you're doing is you're trying to actually diagnose the systemic problem there. Because if you were to say, and I know the thought process because I've been there. So you're just like, oh, agent comes in and says, hey, I'm having trouble. I got these leads. I didn't have any success. What do I do? And then your answer is like, you're thinking, well, they need more reps, right? They need to have more time on the phone. And they need to get used to buying leads so that it kind of forces them, puts them into a position where they actually work the leads harder. So I'm gonna tell them, just buy more leads, right? Buy more leads, do more dials, just grind, get after it, and don't call me until you set X amount of appointments, right?
Yep.
Kind of like putting the pressure on them. But what you're actually doing is you're putting them also in a position for most people that they actually need to understand the back end of what's actually happened. So on that one side, you can say that, and I understand that is where you're coming from. You're trying to get them to get more reps, or you can say, "Hey, look, we actually need to track your metrics. Okay, we need to know exactly how many dials you're doing. See if these leads can still be dialed more, if you've over dialed them or not. We need to see how many conversations you're having. We need to know how many people are hanging up. We need to know how many people you're talking to, how many appointments you're setting, how many appointments are showing. We need to know, how are your script doing? How do you sound on the phone? Right?
Yep.
Because the more reps you do just practicing your script to where you've memorized it, now you're starting to get to a point where you can use tonality, you can slow down, you can emphasize certain words, you can speed up, you can talk when you get really excited about how something that you really want to emphasize to the client, and you want to uplift it while you're talking to them, and you know how to do it and when to do it. Right? So you start to be able to do those things. That's the same concept because you're getting reps. It's just in practice. And it doesn't take long. This doesn't take like, oh, well, I got to read the script for a week. No, you need to do it over a weekend, right? You could be doing this. You can memorize and you can start to get tonality out on a weekend, on a solid, focused, no Netflix, no social media. You could do that. And so you're actually diagnosing the problem and you're letting them know the problem by asking them questions, because then they come back to the answers. And then you're like, well, do you see the problem here? And they're going to, it's more of a, yeah, I do. I see I got to do this. And then who's not going to commit to what they've already decided that they have to do by their own self-diagnosis just by getting asked the right questions?
Yep. Questions are powerful. I mean, even as an upline manager, even in the home, questions are everything. So it's asking the targeted questions to diagnose the problem. And your exact metrics can help us identify where that issue is.
Yeah.
That's the power of it. And then getting the agent to commit to fixing that problem.
So where the rubber meets the road, bro, where this is like, okay, you're saying all this, but do you apply it? And when you started applying what difference, measurable difference in your agency have you been able to see by applying this strategy?
Absolutely. It started out with conversations of finding out who's committed to the vision. And over time, we start to weed out the ones that aren't committed, because ultimately we don't want to work with people that aren't committed to the vision, right? We want people that understand what we're trying to build here and want to work towards it. So once we narrow that down to people that are actually committed, I've seen right now, I'm sitting at about 85% of active writing agents and about 95% of people that are about to write, but they're all actively involved. 100% of my agents are actually involved in some way. There's a few, like one gentleman was retiring full time, so things of that nature. But I can call any one of my agents; they know what's going on. But we're sitting at 85% of writing people currently, and it's getting better and better.
And every day it's getting better.
Absolutely.
That's phenomenal, bro. Just imagine if you had, I don't care if you have an agency of 10 people or if you have an agency of 100, if and it's 100 that are contracted under you. It's like, oh, I got 100 agents. And then that really means, like, I hear that from most people. And I'm like, so you got 10 writers. That's what you're telling me, right? And that's about accurate. 10, maybe 15, right? But what if you had 85, 90% writing agents in your agency?
Right.
Now
That are all
that are all active, that are all engaged, that when you
Yep.
call them, they answer. They call you, they need help. You actually have a good conversation. How does that change your business? How does that change to where when you bring somebody on board and you're like, hey, here's this new agent. Let's bring you into the fold, baby bird.
Yep.
Let's get you going. Let's feed you. Let's get you some leads. Let's get you some training. What happens then?
Dude,
The
it explodes.
likeness of that agent writing business.
Yep. All writers, bro. And it's more efficient with our time too. Like
Yeah.
you and I came from somewhere else where it was recruit the world. But me personally at that point, my agency was 5x what it is now. Nobody was doing anything, but my phone was ringing constantly.
Yeah.
Constantly. And it was just a bunch of wasted time. Whereas now, the traction of people that are committed and actually working and involved, you're not wasting your time with questions because people aren't plugged in.
Here's the other thing is we have a manager meeting every single Monday morning, 9 a.m. Central Standard Time, every single Monday. They all come. And it's not like, hey, if you don't come, you're not a manager.
Right.
It's just they just show up and we share information, we talk about what's going on, we give guidance, we do training sometimes, usually help with a little leadership training or tactics. 30-minute meeting once a week with all the main managers, anyone that has an agent, all the way up. And that just shows that speaks volumes that they want to show up and they want to get the information.
It's commitment, bro. It's commitment. You don't have to force them.
Commitment versus compliance. Now, in another call, in another podcast, I think maybe Zach and I can go over a handful, or we can probably break them all down, but that's a little bit longer of a training. We can do a training where it's like one after the other of all the 6 different leadership styles and what they mean and how that they're being implemented, but then also how to master them. Because here's the thing is that at any given time, you're probably implementing one or multiple of leadership styles, right? Like I do pace setting a lot, for instance, which is one of the leadership styles, which just means that like you're a high performer, you go, and you're kind of like, hey, follow me. And you just run ahead.
Right.
I do that a lot, not purposely. I'm not trying to get people to follow me. It's just that I'm used to handling a lot and putting a lot on my plate. And so a lot of times I got to slow down and then I got to back up and say, hey guys, let me explain to you what I'm doing so that I can get your help and involvement here. And maybe we can share the load and we can all move forward together. And that's something that I had to learn because, I had a conversation with Kevin the other day and Kevin's like, dude, I feel like every single time I come to you and I say, hey, this needs to happen or that needs to happen, or what's your thoughts on this? He's like, your response is already got it handled. I'm actually finishing that up right now.
Right.
And he was like, and I didn't even know. Right. And he was like, I feel like I'm 10 steps behind you on everything. He's like, dude, you're like constantly on the go and you're always working. And I feel bad contacting you and say, oh, I got this idea. And he was like, dude, I need to have more touch points with you. We need to connect more. Right. And this conversation literally happened like, a week ago. And I was like, dude, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. Like, because what you're telling me right now is that I've been pace setting. That's exactly what I heard. I was like, I've been pace setting. And I'm not trying to. It's just that I live, eat, and breathe all of this shit all day, every day, constantly. And it's not because I have to. I love it. Right. Like this is my passion. This is my purpose in life. And I'm just always on the go. And I figure like, oh, you guys will like, I talk to you. Don't get me wrong. I talk to you like just about every day.
Yeah. Right? We talk daily, just about.
And I figure like, oh, I'll keep everybody updated as I go. But I don't realize that like these are sporadic and disparate conversations.
Right.
And you guys are getting different pieces.
Right.
And I'm expecting that everyone kind of understands and you don't. And so that's something that I had to learn, but that's just one of the leadership tactics or leadership styles we talk about. But thank you so much, man, for coming on and having a quick conversation with me and talk about the difference between compliance and commitment in your leadership and how you can apply it to your business, your agency right now, today, that you can apply it. So, Zach, if anyone wanted to reach out to you or just learn more about your leadership style or just kind of see how you're doing with your agency, how could they reach you?
You can hit me up on Instagram there, or feel free to text me. My number is 609-610-6484.
Fan friggin' tastic. Well, I appreciate you coming on, man. It's been a wild ride, and I look
Yeah.
forward to doing more of these. I'm going to see you in Dallas. The next episode that I do with Zach is going to be live in Dallas. It's going to be dope. I can't wait to get here, bro.
Hell yeah. I'm
It's gonna be
excited.
dope. So, all right. Well, everyone, thank you so much for watching. This has been the Be the Difference podcast. If you got anything from this, then do me a favor. This is a fee-based system where if you get any value from this, you do a value-based exchange. You send this to somebody. They can also get value from it. They can learn from it. They can grow from it. They can change their perspective. They can change their agency. We're just trying to help every agent in the entire industry, not just in Delta. And if you have any questions, you can always reach out to me. Follow me on Instagram at Gregory A. Birch _. I give constant tips, tricks, strategies on sales, leadership, marketing, mindset, all of that stuff. Until next time.